Hello everyone, Mimikins here. Today I'm going to share with you my hammer builds. It's been a while since my last hammer video and several new armors have been added since. So it's definitely time for an update video. I'm going to look at 3 very good hammers so people can decide which one, depending on their playstyle, might like to choose. I do use the skill maximum might in my builds. I know hammer does use stamina, however you can still make good use of the maximum might, as long as your stamina is full when the connecting hit goes off. So in a combo, the first weaker hit may not benefit from maximum might, but the hits thereafter will, and most importantly the finisher will. Combos such as Big Bang Attack don't consume stamina either. There are ways to help better manage stamina, for instance dash juice, in-game environmental buffs called Wiggly Witchy, some hunting horn songs, as well as your palco if you're using the Choral Orchestra gadget. Some fights maximum might can be swapped for affinity slide. Many fighting areas have scopes and it's very easy to activate the buff on hammer since you can slide while charging. However, it can be harder to utilise in multiplayer if your group won't keep the monster near a slope or the terrain is flat. My favourite hammer is the Taroth Hammer Sleep, as it's good damage and is flexible to build with since it already comes with white sharpness and no negative affinity. So let's look at some builds for it. If you want maximum potential damage, this is your build. It's low maintenance thanks to 100% affinity in weak spots and Master's Touch. This is the go-to build for speedruns. Sometimes peak performance isn't great on builds if you get hit often or the monster or environment has an aura which causes constant damage, so I've also included a full attack build as well. It's slightly less damage per hit, but it's not going to fluctuate during the fight, and may on some monsters even outperform the first build. It has a spare slot which I put flinch free in, which is useful for multiplayer when your combos can be interrupted by other players. Recovery speed is a nice bonus skill with the Valhazak waist, but you could easily trade this in for Bombardier by switching to the Zora Gamma waist if you prefer, and if you don't have either of these, full Draken it is. If you need extra HP for tougher fights, you can easily switch out the charm for health charm, and since it's a charm slot it can be changed during a hunt. For longer fights where Rocksteady Mantle won't cut it, earplug builds can be useful. Hammer's big damage numbers come from the end of combos or charges. It could be very frustrating just about to finish a combo only to have a roar interrupt that last hit. Even those pro roar evaders are going to miss that hit from rolling. I'm aware that trying to hit the biggest numbers possible per hit doesn't favour an earplugs build, but what it can't account for is the extra opportunities earplug brings. Every time a monster roars, it's free hits while the monster isn't moving, making it easier to target specific points. The damage adds up and it's a very nice quality of life. If you haven't been lucky on the Taroth Hammer Sleep and you want a craftable hammer that packs a punch, I recommend the Diablos Shatterer. This deals similar damage to Taroth's peak performance build, but since you don't have to rely on peak performance, it's more consistent. It has 100% affinity on weak spots. The drawbacks to this hammer is that it is restricted on dual choices because you need 4 handicraft for white sharpness, and you need high critical hit rate for Master's Touch. This hammer has a small white sharpness bar that will lose white sharpness in 10 hits. Making sure hits are criticals so they don't consume that bar is important, otherwise be prepared for constant sharpening. There is less room for errors in this build. If you lack a handicraft jewel, there isn't a quick fix to maintain the Master's Touch with 100% affinity. The best thing you can do is switch to a critical boost jewel and use an attack charm to make the best use out of the blue sharpness. The Empress Mace Styx was another favourite of mine to use. It's lower damage than the Diablos, but it's versatile to use since it comes with white sharpness, positive affinity and the skill Razor Sharp for halving sharpness loss. It's very easy to build with whatever your needs are. Pairing it with Master's Touch produces a build where you never have to sharpen your weapon, and it's pretty convenient, especially if you love low maintenance weapons. To maximise damage with this convenience, Teostra Kaiser set bonus will allow you to cap out blast, attack and affinity while having a health regen augment. Razor Sharp helps compensate for any non-crits that may occur from either not hitting a weak spot, or on the initial hits from combos which lack the extra affinity from Maximum Might. Like the Taroth Hammer Sleep, the Styx can be easily adapted to fit extra quality of life skills such as Earplugs, while maintaining the majority of DPS stat increases. I'm a big fan of the Styx weapons thanks to their versatility and quality of life. It may have lost a bit of its exclusivity due to the availability of Master's Touch to other weapon types, but it's great to use alongside Master's Touch and it's still very usable without, which allows players to utilise different armour sets. I do feel at the moment that the Behemoth and the Kaiser sets, at least for melees, have dominated the armour scene. I hope when Arch-Tempered Nergigante is introduced later on, it may shake things up a little. But unless Capcom buff haste and recovery, it's unlikely people will let go of Master's Touch and the Dragon sets. If you haven't farmed Behemoth or Arch-Tempered Elders, this hammer is very versatile even without Master's Touch. You don't even need Protective Polish, which can get pretty tedious at times. There are still some RNG hammers from AT Culve I would like to test out, but the ones I've shown you today are top tier and don't rely on abusing a monster's elemental weakness like the Kiara hammers would. Please support the channel by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time.